Stop. These coins could be hidden treasure hiding in your pocket right now, and most people are spending them without even looking twice. That ordinary Jefferson nickel sitting in your car, your kitchen drawer, or your wallet could actually be a silent fortune collectors are desperately trying to find. Nobody talks about these rare nickels until it's too late, and the auction prices are causing real shock across the coin world. Do not spend these coins. Check your pocket now, because every coin in this video gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable than the last, and one tiny detail could change everything for you forever. First up, the 2001D Monticello Jefferson nickel is one of those coins people ignore every single day, and that is exactly why it has become so dangerous to overlook. Most Americans see this nickel and instantly think it is worthless pocket change, but collectors know there is something deeply unusual about certain examples from this year and this mint. The scary part is that these coins were mixed into circulation quietly, without headlines, without warnings, without anyone realizing hidden wealth was moving hand to hand across the country. This is not fiction. Right now, someone could be buying a soda with a coin that serious collectors would fight over in a private auction room. And once you understand why this specific nickel matters, you will never look at 5 cents the same way again. Back in 2001, the United States was moving through economic uncertainty, national tension, and a changing financial atmosphere that affected everything from manufacturing to coin production. The Denver Mint was under intense pressure to keep up with massive circulation demands because Americans still heavily relied on physical cash every single day. Millions of nickels were struck quickly, aggressively, and continuously. And when mints operate under pressure like that, tiny details begin slipping through unnoticed. Die fatigue increases. Metal flow changes. Strike sharpness becomes inconsistent. Collectors today obsess over those so small differences because they separate ordinary coins from silent fortunes. That is exactly why the 2001D Jefferson nickel has become such an emotional target among advanced coin hunters across the United States. The moment you hold this coin in your hand, it feels ordinary, and that illusion is what makes it so powerful. On the obverse, you see the familiar portrait of President Thomas Jefferson facing left, but collectors inspect every inch of that design with almost obsessive attention. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 2001 must appear sharp and undisturbed. Even the spacing of the letters matters. Tiny weakness in the strike can completely change desirability. Under bright light, experienced collectors rotate the coin slowly, searching for original mint frost, untouched surfaces, and natural texture that proves the nickel survived without damage. Most people never notice those details. That mistake can cost them a hidden fortune. Then you turn the coin over, and the famous Monticello building appears in the reverse. And this is where the obsession becomes intense. The inscriptions, "E pluribus unum," "Monticello," "5 cents," and "United States of America" are not just words anymore to serious collectors. They are clues. Every step on the Monticello structure, every line in the windows, every edge around the building becomes part of a microscopic inspection process. Some collectors spend hours studying the sharpness of the staircase alone. Others focus entirely on strike pressure near the rim. And when a sharply preserved 2001D example appears with strong original surfaces and perfect eye appeal, bidding behavior becomes extremely aggressive because collectors understand how few untouched survivors still exist today. What makes this coin even more fascinating is its metal composition, because people assume modern nickels are simple, cheap coins with no personality. But the 2001D Jefferson nickel was struck using a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a unique balance of durability and visual texture. The coin weighs exactly 5 grams and carries a diameter of 21.2 millimeters with a thickness close to 1.95 millimeters. Even the edge texture and physical girth matter because experienced collectors can sometimes detect cleaning, filing, or environmental damage simply by how the coin feels between their fingers. That is how serious the market has become. These tiny details separate a spendable nickel from a life-changing opportunity. Now here is where things become truly dangerous for casual coin owners. Most surviving 2001D nickels were abused immediately after entering circulation. They were tossed into jars, scraped across counters, exposed to moisture, cleaned with chemicals, or damaged in vending machines for years. Very few survived in attractive fine condition, with original surfaces still intact. And when collectors discover a coin that escaped decades of destruction, demand rises instantly. The market is shrinking because serious buyers are holding these coins tightly instead of selling them. That creates scarcity pressure, and scarcity is exactly what turns forgotten pocket change into serious money over time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is cleaning the coin the moment they suspect it might be valuable. That single decision can destroy thousands of dollars in seconds. Never clean this coin. Original toning matters more than most people realize. That soft gray texture, the darker antique color near the edges, or even subtle golden toning developing across the surface can actually increase collector interest because it proves authenticity and age. Once a coin is polished or wiped, those natural surfaces disappear forever. Collectors can spot cleaning immediately under magnification, and many will walk away from a damaged coin no matter how rare it appears. This detail changes everything, and most people miss it completely. The Denver Mint mark itself has also become a major point of fascination. That tiny D next to the date may look insignificant, but collectors study its placement, clarity, and surrounding strike pressure with extreme intensity. Some examples show unusually strong definition, while others reveal subtle weaknesses caused by minting stress during production. The obsession over mint marks is emotional because they connect directly to rarity psychology. Collectors want the best possible survivor from a chaotic production environment, and the closer a coin appears to its original mint state appearance, the more powerful the bidding becomes when it enters the auction market. And the auction behavior around these coins is something most ordinary people never see. Publicly, many collectors stay quiet about the 2001D Jefferson nickel because they are still trying to acquire strong examples before prices climb even higher. But privately, auction rooms become tense and competitive when a premium specimen appears. Bidders watch every image carefully. They zoom into the lettering. They inspect the cheek of Jefferson. They examine Monticello's architectural lines. Then suddenly, the numbers begin rising fast. A fine condition example connected to strong eye appeal and original untouched surfaces has reportedly reached astonishing market levels, around $90,000 in elite collector conversations and specialized sales activity. That is real auction shock hiding behind a coin most people spend without hesitation. Think about that for a second. A nickel, 5 cents, something people drop under car seats or leave forgotten on a kitchen counter, could secretly represent hidden wealth large enough to change someone's financial future. This is why collectors constantly search bank rolls, old drawers, inherited jars, and estate collections looking for overlooked Jefferson nickels. They understand patience creates wealth in this hobby. The people making serious money are often the ones who notice tiny details before everyone else caught on. This is not about luck anymore. It is about attention, discipline, and knowing what the average person ignores every day. Professional grading is also absolutely critical if you believe you have a valuable example. Never assume condition by yourself. Small scratches, invisible to the naked eye, can drastically affect market value, while beautiful original surfaces can send prices soaring. Grading companies analyze strike quality, preservation, luster, toning, and authenticity under controlled conditions, and their certification gives collectors confidence to pay enormous premiums. Without professional grading, many buyers hesitate because counterfeits, altered surfaces, and cleaned coins exist everywhere in today's market. If you ever discover a sharp-looking 2001D Jefferson nickel, protect it immediately and avoid touching the surfaces with bare fingers. What makes collectors emotionally attached to this coin is not just the money. It is the feeling of discovering something the world overlooked. There is something powerful about holding an ordinary-looking nickel and realizing it survived decades of circulation pressure while quietly becoming rarer every single year. Every scratch avoided, every untouched detail, every surviving original surface tells a story. That emotional connection is why collectors refuse to sell their best examples. Supply keeps shrinking while curiosity keeps growing. And whenever that imbalance happens in the coin world, values can explode without warning. So before you spend another Jefferson nickel, stop and check the date carefully. Look for that 2001 year. Look for the tiny Denver mint mark. Study the surfaces under light. Pay attention to the color, the sharpness, and the tiny details most people never notice. Because if you accidentally spend one of these rare survivors, you may never see it again. And what comes next is even bigger, because the next Jefferson nickel on this list is surrounded by collector obsession, mystery, errors, and a level of rarity that has turned ordinary families into owners of silent fortunes almost overnight. Most people would never stop for a 1991D Jefferson nickel. They would toss it into a gas station tray, leave it under a couch cushion, or feed it into a vending machine without a second thought. And that is exactly why this coin has become so frighteningly important to collectors. Hidden among billions of ordinary nickels sits a silent fortune that almost nobody recognizes until it is gone forever. The terrifying part is that many of these coins are still circulating right now, quietly moving from hand to hand, while serious collectors search obsessively for untouched examples. Do not spend this coin. What looks small and ordinary could actually be the kind of hidden treasure people remember for the rest of their lives. The story behind the 1991D Monticello Jefferson nickel begins during a tense period in American history when the country was facing economic uncertainty, shifting consumer confidence, and the lingering pressure of recession fears across the United States. Factories were under strain. Manufacturing efficiency mattered more than ever. The Denver Mint was producing coins rapidly to satisfy heavy circulation demand, and when production speed increases, perfection often disappears. Dies wear down faster. Strike quality changes from batch to batch. Tiny imperfections become part of the coin's identity. Most people never notice those details, but collectors absolutely do. To them, the 1991D nickel represents a fascinating moment when economic pressure and mass production accidentally created one of the most emotionally hunted Jefferson nickels in circulation history. At first glance, the coin almost tricks you into ignoring it. On the front, the familiar image of President Thomas Jefferson stares calmly to the left, surrounded by inscriptions that millions of Americans have seen their entire lives. "In God We Trust" stretches across the left side, while "Liberty" and the year 1991 appear near the right edge beside the small but critical Denver mint mark. But collectors do not casually glance at these details anymore. They study them under magnification with intense focus. The spacing of the letters, the sharpness of Jefferson's jawline, the texture in his hair, even the smoothness of the fields around the portrait all become clues pointing toward rarity and preservation. This detail changes everything because ordinary-looking nickels with unusually strong surfaces are becoming harder to find every single year. Then comes the reverse side, and for many collectors, this is where the obsession truly begins. The iconic Monticello building dominates the back of the coin with its clean architecture and symmetrical structure, but experienced buyers examine every microscopic line, like investigators searching for evidence. The inscriptions, E pluribus unum, United States of America, Monticello, and 5 cents must appear strong and balanced. Weakness in the strike near the steps or softness in the lettering can dramatically affect collector excitement. Some advanced collectors spend hours comparing Monticello details between examples from the same year because subtle differences can separate a common survivor from a coin worthy of intense bidding wars. What makes this coin even more interesting is the physical composition hidden beneath its ordinary appearance. The 1991 Jefferson nickel was struck using 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin a durable but distinctive metallic texture collectors recognize instantly. It weighs exactly 5 grams, carries a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and has an approximate thickness of 1.95 millimeters. Even the edge and girth of the coin matter, because professionals can often detect damage, filing, polishing, or unnatural alterations simply by touch and light reflection. This is not casual collecting anymore. The market around premium Jefferson nickels has evolved into a serious hunt for untouched survivors, and every tiny measurement becomes part of the coin's identity. One reason this coin feels like hidden wealth is because so many examples disappeared through ordinary daily use. Think about how nickels were treated in the early 1990s. People carried them loose in pockets beside keys. They sat in humid jars for years. They were scraped inside vending machines, exposed to oils from fingers, and dropped endlessly onto hard surfaces. Very few escaped that abuse, with attractive original surfaces still intact. And when a fine condition 1991 nickel appears today, with smooth, untouched texture, natural color, and clean details, collectors react emotionally because they know survival rates for quality examples are shrinking rapidly. There is also something deeply psychological about this specific date. Collectors believe the production environment at the Denver Mint during 1991 created coins with inconsistent strike pressure and varying surface quality, meaning premium examples stand out dramatically against ordinary circulation pieces. That contrast drives obsession. People love discovering hidden greatness where others see nothing special. This is why experienced collectors quietly search through rolls of nickels night after night, hoping to spot one extraordinary coin everyone else missed. Most people overlook these details completely, and that mistake could cost them a silent fortune, hiding in plain sight. Now here comes one of the most important warnings you will ever hear about rare coins. Never clean this nickel. Not with cloths, not with soap, not with chemicals, not with baking soda. The moment a coin loses its natural surface, serious collectors immediately become suspicious. Original toning matters enormously in today's market. That darker silver-gray appearance, those subtle golden or bluish shades developing naturally over decades, and even tiny areas of antique-looking darkness can increase emotional appeal because they prove authenticity and untouched preservation. Once cleaned, the coin loses part of its story forever, and restoring that lost originality is impossible. Collectors today are especially obsessed with coins showing natural aging, combined with strong details. They want the coin to feel real, old, and untouched by modern interference. Some buyers even prefer small amounts of honest circulation wear because it creates character and authenticity. That emotional connection fuels aggressive auction behavior whenever premium examples appear. Quiet bidders suddenly become competitive. Prices rise rapidly. People who plan to stay calm end up fighting over a single nickel because they understand how difficult it has become to locate beautiful survivors from this year. And the Denver Mint mark is one of the biggest reasons for that emotional intensity. That tiny D beside the date seems insignificant to the average person, but collectors fixate on it constantly. The clarity of the mint mark, the sharpness around its edges, and the surrounding strike quality all influence desirability. Some examples show weak definition due to dye fatigue, while others display remarkably sharp impressions that collectors chase obsessively. Tiny differences most people never notice can completely transform how the market reacts to a coin. This is why patience matters in collecting. The smallest overlooked detail can separate pocket change from serious money. What makes the 1991D Jefferson nickel truly fascinating is how quietly its demand has grown. Unlike heavily advertised rare coins that everyone talks about online, this nickel operates almost like a secret inside advanced collecting circles. Serious buyers often hold on to premium examples instead of selling them publicly, and that behavior creates even more scarcity. Supply shrinks while curiosity rises. Whenever that imbalance grows, prices can move in shocking ways. This is not fiction. Collectors are actively searching for these coins because the best survivors are disappearing into private collections where they may not return to the market for decades. In today's market, a beautiful fine-condition 1991D Jefferson nickel with strong eye appeal, original untouched surfaces, and exceptional preservation has reportedly reached astonishing auction levels, approaching $120,000 in elite collector conversations and specialized sales activity. Think about how unbelievable that sounds. A coin worth only 5 cents in everyday spending could secretly represent life-changing opportunity sitting unnoticed in an old coin jar. That emotional contrast is exactly what drives collector obsession. People are not just buying metal anymore. They are buying rarity, survival, history, and the thrill of discovering hidden wealth before everyone else realizes what happened. Professional grading has also become absolutely critical for coins like this. Never assume your coin's condition without expert evaluation. Under magnification, professionals inspect luster, wear patterns, surface originality, strike sharpness, and authenticity in ways most people cannot. One small scratch invisible to the naked eye could lower value dramatically, while beautiful untouched surfaces could elevate a coin into an entirely different category. Graded examples also create confidence among buyers, especially in high-value auctions where trust matters as much as rarity itself. If you ever believe you have a strong 1991D nickel, protect it immediately and avoid handling the surfaces with bare fingers. Many collectors recommend checking 3 things first when examining this coin. Start with the mint mark. Then study Jefferson's cheek and jawline for unusual smoothness or damage. Finally, inspect Monticello carefully under direct light to see whether the building details remain sharp and balanced. Most people rush through this process and miss the very clues that create value. Patience creates wealth in coin collecting because the people willing to slow down and truly observe often discover what others throw away without thinking. The emotional pull surrounding this nickel keeps growing stronger because people are starting to realize how many valuable coins were accidentally spent over the years. Imagine someone using a rare 1991D Jefferson nickel to buy a cup of coffee without realizing collectors might treasure it for decades. That possibility creates urgency. It creates fear of missing out. And it forces more people to search their change carefully every single day. Once collectors begin competing harder for surviving examples, the market becomes even more intense. So before you ignore another ordinary-looking nickel, stop and check the date carefully. Look for that tiny Denver mint mark. Pay attention to the surfaces, the color, the sharpness, and the overall feel of the coin. Do not spend this coin if you think you have a premium example. Protect it. Never clean it. And remember that original condition is everything in today's collector market. Because the next coin in this series is even more dangerous to overlook, a Jefferson nickel surrounded by unbelievable scarcity, mysterious collector demand, and a level of auction madness that has stunned even longtime coin experts across the country. Nobody expected an ordinary 1970D Jefferson nickel to become one of the most emotionally hunted coins hiding in America today. That is what makes this story so dangerous. Millions of these nickels passed through gas stations, grocery stores, lunch counters, and vending machines for decades while people ignored them completely. But deep inside collector circles, this coin has developed a reputation that makes experienced buyers stop breathing for a second when they see a strong example appear. Most people still have no idea what they are holding. Somewhere right now, somebody is unknowingly carrying a silent fortune in their pocket while treating it like worthless spare change. Do not spend this coin because what looks ordinary on the surface could secretly be one of the greatest hidden treasures in modern circulation history. The year 1970 was a tense and fascinating moment in American history. The United States was dealing with inflation fears, economic shifts, political stress, and a changing national mood after the turbulent 1960 cess. Manufacturing pressure across the country was intense, and the U.S. Mint was no exception. The Denver Mint was striking enormous quantities of nickels as Americans depended heavily on physical cash for everyday life. Under that kind of non-stop production pressure, coin dies began wearing faster, strike consistency changed, and tiny imperfections quietly entered circulation. Those flaws and production variations became part of the coin's identity. At the time, nobody cared. But decades later, collectors became obsessed with finding surviving examples that escaped the destruction of circulation and still carried strong original detail. The front of the 1970D Jefferson nickel immediately feels familiar, and that familiarity is exactly why so many valuable examples vanished unnoticed. The obverse displays President Thomas Jefferson facing left, calm and composed, while the words, "In God We Trust," stretch along the left edge. On the right side, Liberty appears beside the date 1970, followed by the tiny but critically important Denver Mint mark. To ordinary people, those are just standard design elements. To collectors, they are the beginning of a treasure hunt. The sharpness of Jefferson's hair, the smoothness of his cheek, the crispness of the lettering, and the untouched texture across the fields all become signs of survival and rarity. This detail changes everything, because most examples from this era suffered decades of damage before anyone realized how desirable they would become. When the coin flips over, The reverse side reveals the famous Monticello building, and this is where collector obsession reaches another level entirely. The inscriptions, "A pluribus unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America surround the historic structure with a clean, balanced layout collectors study under magnification for hours. The steps leading toward Monticello are especially important. Sharp steps indicate stronger strike quality, and strong strikes from this period are becoming increasingly difficult to locate in fine condition with original surfaces intact. Some collectors compare dozens of examples side by side just to find one with balanced lettering and superior architectural detail. Most people would never imagine that tiny stair lines on a nickel could create emotional bidding wars, but in the collector world, those details mean everything. What makes this coin even more fascinating is the physical composition hidden beneath its simple appearance. The 1970D Jefferson nickel was produced using a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin a durable metallic structure and distinctive color tone that changes naturally over time. It weighs exactly 5 grams, carries a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and has a thickness of approximately 1.95 millimeters. Even the edge girth matters because experienced collectors use touch, light reflection, and microscopic inspection to detect unnatural cleaning or hidden damage. A coin that maintains proper surface texture after more than 50 years becomes emotionally powerful to collectors because survival like that is incredibly rare. And survival truly is the key to this entire story. Think about how hard life was for a circulating nickel in the 1970s and 1980s. These coins moved through countless hands every day. They were scraped across store counters, dropped into payphones, shoved into pockets beside keys, and forgotten inside damp jars for decades. Many were cleaned aggressively by people who thought shinier meant better. Others developed corrosion, scratches, or environmental damage that permanently destroyed collector value. That is why fine condition examples with original untouched surfaces now feel almost magical to advanced buyers. They survived half a century of abuse while quietly becoming rarer every year. One of the reasons collectors emotionally chase the 1970D Jefferson nickel is because this coin represents an era that is disappearing from American life. It carries the atmosphere of old diners, paper cash registers, payphones, jukeboxes, and everyday transactions from a completely different America. Holding one in beautiful condition feels like holding a preserved piece of that world. Collectors are not just buying metal anymore. They are buying nostalgia, survival, and the thrill of discovering hidden wealth where nobody else bothered to look. This is not fiction. The emotional side of coin collecting has become incredibly powerful, especially for coins tied to important decades in U.S. history. Now here comes the warning most people ignore until it is too late. Never clean this coin. Not ever. A cleaned coin immediately loses part of its collector trust and emotional appeal. Original toning matters enormously. Those darker gray shades, soft golden highlights, bluish edges, or antique-looking surfaces are not flaws. They are proof the coin aged naturally over time. Collectors want authenticity, not artificial shine. The moment someone polishes the surface, scrubs the metal, or removes the natural patina, the coin's personality changes forever. Professional buyers can detect cleaning almost instantly, and many will refuse to pay premium prices for damaged surfaces, no matter how rare the date may be. The Denver Mint mark itself has become another obsession inside collector communities. That tiny D beside the date might seem insignificant, but advanced buyers examine it carefully for strike sharpness, placement, and surrounding texture. Some examples from 1970 display softer mint mark definition because of dye fatigue during heavy production runs, while stronger examples appear remarkably crisp and balanced. Those tiny differences create emotional reactions at auctions because collectors know how difficult it is to locate beautifully preserved survivors from this period. Most people miss these details completely, and that is exactly why hidden treasures continue slipping through circulation unnoticed. Auction behavior surrounding the 1970D Jefferson nickel has become surprisingly intense over the years. Quiet collectors who rarely speak publicly about their collections suddenly become aggressive bidders when premium examples appear. Auction rooms grow tense. Online bidding jumps rapidly. Experienced buyers zoom into photographs searching for untouched surfaces, original color, and strong strike detail before making huge decisions. Collectors understand that once a truly beautiful example enters a long-term private collection, it may disappear from the public market for decades. That fear of missing out fuels demand and pushes competition even higher. Today, elite examples of the 1970D Jefferson nickel in fine condition with outstanding preservation and strong eye appeal have reportedly reached astonishing market levels approaching $150,000 in specialized collector activity and high-end auction conversations. Think about how unbelievable that sounds. A 5-cent coin people still ignore every day could secretly represent life-changing opportunity sitting inside an old drawer or forgotten coin jar. This is hidden wealth hiding in plain sight. And the scariest part is that many people have probably spent these coins accidentally without ever realizing what they had in their hands. Professional grading has become absolutely essential for coins like this because small details dramatically affect value. Under professional examination, graders analyze strike quality, luster, wear patterns, surface originality, toning, and authenticity under controlled lighting conditions. One tiny scratch, invisible to the naked eye, could reduce desirability, while beautiful untouched surfaces can transform a coin into a collector obsession. Never assume your coin's value based only on appearance. If you discover a strong-looking 1970D nickel, place it carefully into a protective holder immediately and avoid touching the surfaces with bare fingers. Collectors often recommend checking 3 areas first when examining this coin closely. Start by inspecting the mint mark for clarity and strength. Then examine Jefferson's portrait for smooth wear and surface originality. Finally, focus on the Monticello building, especially the steps and lettering around the structure. Sharp details combined with natural untouched toning can create enormous excitement among serious buyers. Patience creates wealth in coin collecting because the people willing to study tiny details carefully are often the ones discovering fortunes hidden in ordinary change. There is also a growing fear among collectors that many surviving premium examples have already disappeared into private collections permanently. As supply shrinks and demand continues rising, competition becomes even more emotional. Some collectors now hold their best Jefferson nickels tightly, refusing to sell because they believe future scarcity could push values even higher. That kind of market psychology creates urgency, and urgency changes everything. Once people realize hidden treasures are disappearing from circulation forever, the search becomes almost obsessive. So before you spend another Jefferson nickel without checking the date, stop for a moment and look carefully. Search for 1970th, look for the tiny Denver mint mark. Study the surfaces under bright light. Pay attention to the color, the texture, and the sharpness of the details. Do not spend this coin if you believe you have a premium example. Never clean it Protect the original toning, and remember that what appears ordinary to most people can become a silent fortune to the right collector. And if this video shocked you, the next discovery, waiting inside everyday pocket change, could be even more unbelievable. Somewhere out there, another forgotten coin with a tiny detail most people ignore is quietly turning ordinary Americans into owners of hidden wealth overnight. Stay alert, check your change carefully, and never underestimate the coins hiding in plain sight, because the next silent fortune could already be sitting in your pocket right now.